Welcome back to Every Relationship in Gochiusa. As always, I'm not talking strictly romantic relationships. Today I wanted to cover Chino Rize. You know, I never really claimed to be like an unbiased commenter in my videos, but today, full disclaimer, god damn these two are cute. And I would be lying if I said that this one image, or at least this corner of it, wasn't 50% of the reason I'm doing this video. Chino and Rize are fundamentally pretty similar in that they both have difficulty expressing affection. Rize struggles because she sees herself as a soldier first and a girl second. This makes her reluctant to show her more feminine side, lest she be seen as unfit for duty and disappoint her father. This comes up several times, but I think the most notable example is that she says she was crazy to interview a florist during her career path survey. This leads her to show her affection to others in indirect ways rather than outright, and sometimes even hiding the fact that she did something for them. Chino, on the other hand, is just shy. These two then have an interesting dynamic of neither one really being suited to reach out to the other first. I mean, Rize tries, but since neither of them can really be honest with each other, they need a push. And who better to give them that push than Cocoa? Yep, our favorite chronic extrovert, Cocoa, is back to save the day. She teaches both of them how to express themselves, and that leads to them finally being able to express their fondness of each other. And this isn't me just shoving Cocoa in here because she's the main character in my eyes and I will die on this hill, but it's pretty clear that Cocoa is the reason that these two get closer. In the first episode, Chino introduces Rize as the part-timer and nothing else. Now, you could say that it's just cause Chino hasn't opened up to Cocoa, so she wouldn't go and proclaim Rize as her friend right off the bat, but as we see, the sense of distance is definitely there, as Rize is slightly jealous that Cocoa and Chino are living together, but can't gather the courage to say anything about it. Both of them want to bridge that gap, but they can't without the help of Cocoa. Now, let's get into the specifics. Of course, when it comes to Chino and Rize, a lot of their interactions come in groups, like with Rize mentoring Shimametai, and with the Rabbit House gang, and with the Getting Dragged Around Corps. Rize and Chino are in a lot of groups together. With Rize and Shimametai, Maya and Megu already have the childhood friend bond, which pushes Rize and Chino closer together. Of course, Rize is a mentor to them all, but Chino arguably more so than the others. I say arguably because of Maya. Now, onto the Rabbit House 3. Here, Rize and Chino have a pretty standard dynamic, at least on the surface, because what I love about this dynamic isn't what it is, but more how it came to be. A majority of the Chino Rize stuff is in the movie Dear My Sister, but one thing I'd like to mention before we get there is Season 1, Episode 7. This is when Cocoa and Chino have their first sisterly fight about the puzzle and make up with the pancakes. Now, you might think, well, that's more of a Coco-Chino moment than a Chino-Rize moment, and well, that might be true, but we can't ignore the thing that started this whole episode. The fact that Rize is able to decipher Chino's mood better than most, as seen at the beginning and end of that plotline. These moments are so heartwarming, and get even more heartwarming with the context of the next part, the movie. The movie shows us Chino and Rize without Cocoa at two different points. One before her arrival and one when she's on vacation. The flashback shows us their first meeting, and Rize is like a puppy with too much energy. It almost reminds you of how Cocoa drags Chino around nowadays. And, you know, not to get too overanalytical, but Rize specifically states that in the movie, she's trying to keep Chino busy so that she doesn't have time to feel lonely. If we suppose that Rize could decipher Chino's emotions before Cocoa arrived, we could say that Rize may have been trying to do the same thing in the flashback. I don't know the exact timeline of the entire series, but Chino could have been mourning the loss of her mother and or grandfather at the time of Rize's arrival. Heck, that could even be the whole reason Rize was hired there in the first place. Okay, that might be a bit of a stretch, but Rize definitely could have sensed that Chino was sad and tried not to give her any time to be lonely, which would lead to Chino describing Rize as being exhausting to be around like she does in the movie. Now, this is so cute, and it gives me all the warm fuzzies, but it's also a tragedy. Rize's way of trying to help Chino, who she sees is lonely, is to distract her, to be a substitute. She never thinks of herself as actually keeping Chino company enough to not be lonely, but rather as a temporary solution, a holdover until Cocoa comes back. In fact, in the movie, when she checks in on how Chino's doing, she does it by talking about Cocoa because she thinks that Cocoa is the only thing that can cheer her up. And how true that is up to debate, but what's not up for debate is how sad this is and how much I want to pat Rize on the head. You know, Chino Rize is actually so interesting to explore that I began writing something called A World Without Joy, which explores how the cast handles a world in which Kokoa never moved to the wood-frame town. Since Kokoa wouldn't be there, it would force Chino and Rize to bridge the gap between them on their own, and Rize would have to stop trying to be a temporary solution. I'm getting off topic. I think the fact that Chino is too shy and Rize is too proud to show affection outright makes the scenes where we get them just being honest with each other so precious. And speaking of being honest, when Rize asks Chino if that call from Kokoa cheered her up in the movie, she gives the classic shy answer of "I was just worried" when she refers to Kokoa, but she gives Rize her honest thanks, and Rize gives her an honest response. It's so cute! I should also mention that Shimametai collectively inspired Rize to become a school teacher, as we find out in Stamp, Sleep, Study, Smile. Speaking of Stamp, Sleep, Study, Smile, look at how genuinely concerned and almost sad Rize sounds when Megu doesn't want a cookie.
Cookie 嫌いだったか?
God, how is she so cute? Anyways, that was my thoughts on Chino Rize, one of the cutest things I've ever seen. I think if they were to hug, my heart would probably stop. Luckily, they're too shy to do that, so I can continue to enjoy Gochiusa and make more videos. But until then, see you next time.